Now, even with this effort to lengthen the spine and to align your focal points, invite ease on the exhales. Can we become more easeful in the postural alignment? Because oftentimes we discover an area of collapse and then we work so hard to change it. Remember that the shifts in our spine can come side to side as well. We may shift to putting more weight on one sit bone, or shift the ribs over due to a past injury or scoliosis. We may shift the shoulders or the head. We may tilt them as well. And so again, we lengthen the side spines all the way up into the skull. And we feel for those areas of tension. Maybe one shoulder is tighter than the other. Maybe one shoulder is tilted forward more than the other. And we invite our consciousness to explore our body, this being the practice, to know ourselves better. I keep recommending Frank Ostiewski's book, The Five Invitations. I know that Sharon got it this week. And I'm on the third invitation, which is to bring your whole self to each experience. In yoga, this means we invite all of our selves to the experience. So the couch potato self that doesn't want to lengthen the spine, that self gets to be here too. The self that's worried about something you need to do later today, that self gets to be here too. But we invite our Jnanamaya Kosha, our wisdom body, to become this umbrella self that allows the others to be here without taking over, so that we can still center into our practice and be fully here in this moment, letting this be a practice for being fully present in each moment of our lives. So see if you can really sense your next breaths. Really feel into your body, into the space you inhabit, into your minds and your hearts. I like the image from Jungian psychology that we each have a vulnerable essence, and that we may have thousands of selves that have developed in the course of our lifetimes to protect this vulnerable essence. They are well-intentioned selves, but they can get overly large and they can begin to take us over. So as we enter the practice today, if you have a workaholic self or a high-achieving self, notice them. Allow them to be here without taking over. See if we can balance the voices, if we can be fully present as a community of selves. Being present in this moment to take care of our unique, vulnerable essence. Let's inhale our hands to our hearts. Namaste. Okay, let's come to our mats. And let's begin today with a gentle sway, an easeful flow. Letting the arms go and remembering their water. And let your body be a piece of art that you're creating today. Let your mind flow, your creativity flow. Let your body move in this dance. Imagine you're the paint flowing out from the paintbrush on to the paper, onto the canvas. And let yourself flow off the brush into the movement. And let your arms circle off to the left and overhead and down to the right. And have the breath move the body. Think of the beautiful circles your arms and fingers are drawing. Let yourself paint the sky. Meanwhile, let your feet open up onto earth, drawing the paint up, the energy up from the earth through your body to release through your fingertips. And pause at the bottom of your circle and take the circles the other way. And if there's a voice that comes up that says, "Oh, I'm not an artist, I can't do this," let that self be here too. Because it may have developed to protect you from ridicule in kindergarten or some other period of your life. But don't let it take over. Let yourself move with fluid motion in this moment. And let your arms rest down and your hands flow up, guided by the wrist. And then let the wrist release and the fingers follow you down. And again, paint the sky. Perhaps a different color comes out of each finger. Let your knees bend and perhaps bow a little towards earth as the hands come down. Lift the heart towards the heavens as the hands come up. And take a comfortable range of motion, not letting the overachiever take over. Fluid. The wisdom body, the Jnana Maya Kosha, the wisest part of yourself, witnessing whatever comes up, witnessing the sensations, inviting ease. Now inhale, the arms up high, and allow the arms to come down like wings, and gently circle the hands, small circles of the shoulders, and take your circles the other way. And inhale the hands forward, one palm in front of the other, and pulse. And then open the arms and look out over one set of fingers. And pulse the other arm in front and look out over those fingers. And inhale, stretch long as well as wide. And then let yourself rest inward. Inhaling the opening, exhaling the pulse. And then release your wings and roll one shoulder and then the other. And now imagine that it's your shoulder painting the circles. Imagine it's got a sponge brush and you're painting that circle with your shoulders. And you're creating a three-dimensional piece of art around your body. Fluid breath, fluid motion. Now let the elbow draw the circle. Let the elbow be the guide. But don't forget the sway of the whole body. Feel into the movements of the whole body, allowing the elbow to draw these circles. And then let the arm go if you'd like to backstroke. And again, the fingers draw the circles. Fluid breath. Visualize the color if it were a dance. Feel your feet rock your body. Stay in this present moment. We're pumping the lymph. We're stretching pec minor. We're opening the body. And then pause with both hands by your side and press your palms down. Imagine there's a tabletop under each hand you can press on. Root your tailbone and lengthen your side bodies, lifting your heart. Relax your shoulders away from your ears and inhale that color up through your feet and exhale it through your crown chakra at the top of your head. Fluid, three-dimensional breath pumping the paint, drawing it up from your feet, cascading it out through the top of the head. And let yourself come forward, bringing your hands up, palm to palm, elbows bent. And inhale, stretch the heart wide, elbow to elbow. And exhale, cat curl the spine. And inhale and exhale. Fluid motion, fluid breath. And as you cat curl forward, release the tailbone earthward, lengthen the spine. And as you inhale, lift the heart and lengthen the spine. Fluid breath and fluid motion. And now slow it down. Exhale the movement and inhale, fill the posture with your breath. And then exhale the next movement and fill the posture with your breath. Can you be fully present in each posture? Feel the stretch from the inside. And then release your arms and pause in Wuji, palms facing your lower dantian. Palate over heart over pelvis. Feel into your body and align it towards ease. Invite the breath to move through you. And then step 1 foot forward and rock back. And let your arms again swing gently. The overachiever doesn't take over. This isn't your cardio workout. This is fluid ease. Rocking should help us to relax the nervous system. It doesn't work if we're doing this, right? We've got to move with fluid ease and breath and allow our minds to settle enough to move slowly with ease. So the anxious part of ourself or the high speed part of ourself, we acknowledge they're here. I see you. And you can be here. But right now, I'm trying on this fluid, slow ease. And you can even have a reaction and say, I don't like this. I don't want to go slow. But we're trying it on. Fluid breath. How water-like can we become? How slow can we move with the breath? What strength and tone does it take to move slowly? Actually, this may challenge your musculature more than quick movements that use momentum. And to add to that challenge, you may flow forward into balance on one leg and flow back into balance on the other. And you may add a kumbhak, a pause at the top of the inhale in balance, at the bottom of the exhale in balance. In yoga, they believe there's a stillness in that pause, a quiet, that can help us tune into a stillness that is always there, a quiet under the surface. And then we step back into Wu-Ji for a moment, filling the whole circumference of our torso with breath. Pausing at the top of the inhale just for a moment of stillness. Pausing at the bottom of the exhale. And then we gently take it to the other side. Inhaling forward and exhaling back. Beautiful, slow movements. The wisdom body listening to all the voices and allowing them to be here. Perhaps we inhale forward and balance in the pause. And exhale back and balance in the pause. And then we step back into Wu-Ji. Feet wide open on the floor. Draw the chi, the prana in through your feet. Draw it all the way up to the heart center. And on the exhale, send it up through the neck and the crown chakra and out into the world. And then inhale, your arms open across the heart center. Exhale them, loose fists around your thumbs. And it's a quick inhale through the nostrils and a quick exhale. And we lift the heart and we slightly bend the knees and we inhale and exhale. And then we come back up and we roll the arms one over the other and we bow towards earth and we lift the arms and the gaze towards heaven and we roll over and we roll back up and over and up. Feel this moment of your arms circling, the unique sensations of this exercise. And then we pause in Wuji, palms facing the lower dantian, and feel the stillness. Feel the movement inside the stillness. And step the feet wide and ground through the wide open bare feet. And we do the bear frolics, palms up and exhale, exhale, inhale. And pause in the center, feeling for the stillness. Fluid three-dimensional breath. And we bring the hands to the heart. And we exhale, push to the left without leaning over. The spine stays strong. Exhale, inhale to the heart. Exhale, push to the right. Exhale, inhale, inhale. Coming back to center. Full three-dimensional breath, feeling the feet grounded on the earth. We can stay with either of those or lift the platter overhead, lift the gaze, and exhale. Follow the left palm back and inhale up. Exhale, inhale, inhale. Pause at the top. Fluid, three-dimensional breath. Where can you relax and realign the posture towards ease? And then exhale, left hand out at the horizon. Inhale it up. Exhale, right. Inhale. Pause at the top and exhale. Hands down, to the heart and release. Wu Ji. Palms facing the lower dantian. Shoulders relaxed. Three-dimensional breath. Palate over heart over pelvis. Feel your legs wrapped around a big horse. And wrap your fingers over your thumbs, hands back to back at the heart. And inhale. Draw the right elbow away from the left palm and circle pinky ring and middle fingers into the palm. Where can you relax into this posture? Can you fill the posture with qi? What selves become apparent as we hold the pose? With loving kindness, can you allow them to be here? And bring the hands back to back at the heart. And take the right palm out, left elbow back, and circle pinky ring and middle fingers in. Where can you relax into the posture? Can you concentrate on the three-dimensional breath? And release, stepping your feet together in a small V. And inhale. Take your left wing and foot out and exhale them back to center. And inhale right and exhale center. And as you move, can you become aware of that long spine? Palate over heart over pelvis. Can you take some of the weight off of your body? Imagining the hollow bones and light body of the great blue heron or the sandhill crane. Can you feel yourself as a part of your environment, inseparable from it? And now, can you pause at the end of the inhale when your wing is expanded? And exhale in and pause at the end of the exhale. And notice if you feel a neurological or biochemical shift when you add the pause. In the work I did in the local jail, one of the biggest parts of the practice was helping inmates learn to find pause time between a stimulus and their reaction. Most of us, I think, can use this practice. And pause again in Wuji, palms facing the lower dantian. And breathe energy from the palms into the lower belly, up the spine. And exhale it down the arms. And inhale it through the palms into the belly and up the spine. Exhale it from the heart down the arms and feel for the energy circulating. Now, as this energy circulates, draw in fresh energy from the feet through the legs to the lower dantian up to the heart to exhale down the arms and circulate. Now pause in stillness and invite that energy to flow through the whole body, the heart, and the mind. And float your wings up, thumbs and fingers touching like a beak, and release your arms. And feel into palate over heart over pelvis. Maybe you engage that lower hip rib ring that that lower hip ring that goes under your buttocks and around your outer hips and past your pubic bone. And that nice energy of that hug of the ring helps you stabilize to root the legs and grow a little taller. All without over efforting. And now find your pauses at the top of the inhale and the bottom of the exhale. Let the pause be the length that works in your body. Let go the pause before you become lightheaded or strained. And then exhale, let your arms come down towards your knees in circle, crossing each other and lift. Float the wings open and the knee up. Fluid breath. And release your foot and inhale, float. And exhale, bend and bow towards earth. And inhale, lift off, wings crossing. And exhale, float the wings open and float to your toe or float your knee up. And pause like a falcon in flight. Where can you relax onto the wind currents? And release. And inhale. And exhale. And in. And exhale, floating up. Floating on the currents of the wind. Inseparable from the world around us. And release. And in. And exhale. And in. And exhale. Balance becomes the pause. And then we release. And we balance the breath. And balance the body, palate over heart over pelvis. Three-dimensional breath. Relaxing on the exhales. Maybe we gently engage that lower hip ring to create stability without over-efforting. How deeply can you relax right here, right now? And then float your hands to Namaste, still relaxing. And breathe energy into the heart center. Breathe energy out from the heart center. Feeling that small, strong ring around your hips. Float your foot up either to kickstand to your toe or lift your knee forward. We're going to come into that balance work, the cross body work. We'll first take the knee up across the body to the other side and then draw it back across to the first side and come back to center and release. Ground that foot and lift to the other toe. You can just practice with kickstand or you can lift your toe and take the knee across to the opposite side of the body and then back to the first side again, opening the page and back to center and release. Now we'll add the hands. Lift to your first toe. Let's all do the same toe. Lift to your left toe. Float the left knee if you like. Now as you take the left knee to the right, take your hands to the left. And then cross the body the other way, hands to the right, knee to the left. And come back to center. And step down. And lift to the next toe, the right toe. Find your palate over heart, over pelvis. Find your hip ring and lift the knee. And while you take the knee to the left, take your hands to the right. And then inhale back through center and take your hands to the left and your knee to the right. And come back to center and step down. Pause in your Wu-Ji. Fluid, three-dimensional breath. Now can we keep the still awareness we've developed and go to the wall and lift the hands high and lift onto the wide open balls of the feet, long from big toe ball mount to pinky toe ball mount. The hands high. Can you slowly exhale the pelvis towards the floor and feel for creating length along the spine? When the heels touch down, pause for a moment. Integrate your ribs. Activate that lower hip ring. Lift your fingers up the wall. Lift onto the balls of the feet. And exhale. Lower the heels again. Lengthening the spine. Invite space between the vertebrae. Notice where you're tight. And then release your hands down the wall, fingertips at shoulder height, and rooting your tail. Inhale, lengthen your spine skyward. Palate over heart over pelvis. Pubic bone and tailbone aligned isometrically. Draw your hands down. Make the intention of keeping the pelvis where it is and lift your lowest circle of ribs, especially in the back body. Try not to flare the ribs too much. They will open because you're coming into a back bend, but don't collapse the low back ribs into the body. Instead, bring your shoulder blades onto the back and lift the upper ribs, lifting the heart. Pause. Check in with your four corners of your feet, your knees well aligned, your pubic bone and tailbone. We're not shifting the pelvis forward. We're lifting the heart with the shoulder blades. Lengthening the neck, breathing into the body. Breathe, a lift to the heart and an expansion in the chest. And exhale, release. Pause in your mountain pose. Palate over heart over pelvis. And then nestle one side into the wall. Palms facing each other across the torso. Make sure you're open across your collarbones. Press hard into the warm arm on the wall. And notice how the foot on the inside of the room engages. Make sure you don't collapse towards one foot arch or the other. And then engage the foot closest to the wall, ground down from the pelvis, and lengthen across to the shoulder on the inside of the room and press into an imaginary wall. Grounding both feet. Bring your body off the wall and imagine that you're pressing evenly into walls on both sides, rooting both feet. Check in that you're not over-efforting at the knees. Three-dimensional breath. Shoulder blades on the back body. And release the arms and take it to the other side. Pressing your arm into the wall, collarbones broad, shoulder blades on your back. Feel how the opposite foot engages. If you have the habit of supinating, you may roll out on the outer edge. Plug in your big toe ball mound in your inner heel. Lift and lengthen through the spine. Now engage the foot closest to the wall and lengthen up to the buttock. And from the buttock closest to the wall, reach across to the opposite shoulder. Now bring the arm on the wall off the wall. Evenly press into imaginary walls on both sides. Press the four corners of the feet into the earth. Breathe three-dimensionally into the torso. Palate over heart over pelvis. Good. Now, turning forward, release your arms and bring your thumbs to the base of the skull. Interlace your fingers. Rooting into your heels. Keep your gaze parallel to the ground. Bring your elbows forward and root your tailbone. Root your low back rib ring back over the tailbone and take the base of your skull back. Press your head into your hands and lift the base of your skull. Relax your shoulders down, lift the skull. Rest the eyeballs back. Rest the head back. Really kind of press it back. And release. Pause with your breath. Let your eyes and head rest back. Beautiful. Okay. Now you can stay with that, wrapping your hands around your head again, or you can lift up your yoga strap and bring it to the base of your skull. Bring the elbows to the inside of your strap and lift the base of your skull. Let your gaze look down at the floor about 4 or 5 feet in front of you. If you're taller, probably a little farther, because I'm 5'4" and I'm looking about 5 feet in front of me. So your head's a little down. Lift the base of the skull. Stretch. Now lift the left side a little higher and then the right, like rocking your head a little bit with the strap under the skull, getting into those suboccipital muscles. Now notice as you do this, if you lose track of the rest of the body, the feet are open on the floor, the knees aren't hyperextending, and the pelvis hasn't shifted. Now bring your gaze up, parallel to the floor, looking straight out at the horizon. Continue to lift the base of the skull, resting your head back. The tailbone grounds, but it does not tuck under. The low rib ring rests back, and so does the base of the skull. We're stretching the suboccipital muscles so when the front neck flexors strengthen, they can help us realign the head. Let your eyes rest back in their sockets. And now lift a little harder with the arms. Maybe the arms stretch up straight. Keep lifting the base of the skull. Hug in the banks of your river and that lowest hip ring, and lift your heart. Lift your heart into a standing back bend with the support of the strap still tractioning the back of the neck. Fluid breath. Hug in the banks of your river, up the side bodies, and feel the sides of the spine lengthen. And exhale, release. Pause in your mountain pose. Fluid, three-dimensional breath. Now bring the strap around your lowest ribs. Palms up in front of you, elbows right at the side of the inseam of your shirt. And for a moment, draw this low rib ring forward, drawing the ribs into your body, over accentuating your lumbar curve. And then root your tailbone, draw the low ribs back. And bring the low ribs forward, over accentuate the lumbar curve. Tailbone earthward, draw the low ribs back. One more time. Tailbone earthward, draw the low ribs back, and breathe into the low ribs. Rest the base of the skull back. Fluid breath, right into that low rib ring. Feel for the movement of your diaphragm. Invite the back lungs to open. Notice the voices that are with you now. Invite the wisdom body to be aware and loving while still inviting you to be fully present in this practice, in this moment, in this breath. Release the ring and come back to your wall, back to the wall. Come into your robot arms again. Some of you may prefer to do this on the floor. That's okay. Remember, you want to be in your Tadasana, so you don't want your heels right against the wall. Root your tailbone and broaden across the collarbones and press the arms back. Rest the head back as well as it goes, but don't force. Rest the head of your arm bones back. Now notice, do your front ribs flare forward as you rest the head of the arm bones back? Instead of having the head of the arm bones maybe back as far, realign your low rib ring. Breathe into this imaginary strap. Lengthen your side bodies. Rest the head of the arm bones back so that you stretch across and up the front chest. You may even feel the stretch in your neck. Root the four corners of your feet. Breathe three-dimensionally into the body. Put your weight on one foot. This may mean shifting the upper body. Lift to the toe. If you can, lift the knee and take the knee across the body to the other side and then open it back out again. And come back to center and release. Put your weight on the other side. Gaze out towards the horizon, head and base of skull resting back. Float to your next toe. Still activate that lower hip ring and lift the knee. And take the knee across the body. Still think of your low rib ring in the base of your skull. There will be a twist, it will move, but just be aware of it. Bring the knee back across to the other side. Come back to center and step down. Pause on both feet again, broad across your shoulder girdle. Rest the head of the arm bones back. Feel the hug of the hip ring around your lower buttocks, the outside of your greater trochanters, and the pubic bone. Root down from that hugging hip ring and lengthen up into the skull from that hugging rib ring. Breathe into the back of your lungs. Standing up straight is work, isn't it? And release. Turn again to face your wall, fingertips at shoulder height, and isometrically draw down. Feel that hip ring hugging in, lengthen the spine. The shoulder blades lift the back ribs. Rest the head back and feel the strap tugging on the base of the skull. Lift the head, opening the heart. Lengthen both side bodies. Root from the outer hips into the heels. Standing back bend. Fluid breath. Have your feet right under you. Make sure that you're not throwing your pelvis towards the wall. Lift the base of the skull. Beautiful, beautiful, Jane. Fluid breath. Really nice length, Vicky. Beautiful, Ruth. And exhale, release. Oh, that's not Ruth, that's Mom. Beautiful, Mom. Sorry. And come back to your mat. And pause in Tadasana. And take one foot in front of you and exhale, float your wings down, and inhale, lift to the toe. And now think, how do I bring this awareness I'm developing through the body into my balance work? How do I bring the breath in to balancing my spine and my posture? Fluid breath and motion. Yes. Now see if even here you can pause at the top of your inhale and the bottom of your exhale. Even if the toe doesn't lift off or just lifts a little. Pause in mountain pose. Palate over heart over pelvis. I can't tell you all how much this lower rib ring is helping me feel more stable. And here I am, years and years of yoga. I love this little hip ring here. So those of you who haven't been in class or weren't in the workshop, from your pubic bone, you take a line around the outer hip and right at that crease where your buttocks meet your legs. And just imagine that there's a strap, or that you're doing it with your own energy. You're drawing that all in. You're stabilizing around that ring. And then let's take it to the other side. Next foot forward. And we exhale and inhale. And fluid breath. And if you'd like to, you lift the toe off. If you're playing with your spinal posture, maybe you leave the toe on the ground today, because we're not letting that perfectionist take over, or that workaholic that thinks you always have to lift your leg. We're maybe working on the upper body today. Oh, I want to feel what it might be like to lean back while I do this work. Can I lean back? And what does that do in my spine, in my hips? Can I let my head rest back farther than normal? What does that feel like? It's all experimentation. Spatial movement medicine. the process of problem solving and discovery. Let your whole self be here, experiencing the flow. And then pause at the top of the inhale and the bottom of the exhale. And step down into your mountain pose. Palate over heart over pelvis. And step your feet wide. And take the left foot out and the right heel back and come into your star pose and then Virabhadrasana 2. And turn to look out over the front hand and feel into the length of your spine and the side lengths of your side bodies and spine. And then inhale, dancing warrior. And exhale, high Parsvakonasana. And just let it become a flow, aware of the spine, broad across the shoulder girdle. Think about keeping the spine spacious and open. Let that be the goal. And then perhaps the movements become a little deeper and you do go to your forearm. And you do take a deeper side back bend. But do it with consciousness for the greater health of your body, not because you learned how to push. Fluid breath. And then inhaling into your dancer pause at the top of the inhale. And exhale the movement and pause at the top of the inhale of your Parsvakonasana. And follow your own breath. Inhaling into the posture, exhaling the movement. And exhale back up, straight, front leg straightens, turn it in, and turn your right leg out. Take your left heel back. You're in your star pose, palate over heart over pelvis, and then we bend the front knee, which does not go forward of the ankle. So check in that you have a wide enough stance if you're going to bend deeply. Pause. Let your gaze look out over the front fingers for a moment. Let the head rest back. In fact, bring your left hand behind your skull and rest the head back. Palate over heart over pelvis. Then open the back arm and think of this beautiful arc as you inhale and lift into dancing warrior. Lower body is stable. Exhale, flow forward, and inhale into Parsvakonasana. And let your body move and take the pose. And if you'd like to, come a little deeper. But stay with the movements and the sensations, offering your body this practice. Being fully present, bringing your whole self to each movement, each breath, each pause. Floating back up, straighten the right leg, turn it in, and step together, mountain pose. Fluid, three-dimensional breath. Okay, let's bring the chair in and the blocks forward of the chair. And sit your sit bones right at the front of the chair. And when you come into your seat, begin to play with your postural awareness as you start to really learn your habits of spine and body. So if you know you're a rib flare, check in that you're drawing the front ribs back and strengthening your abs. If you know you're a chin jetter, relax the hyoid bone back and lift the base of the skull. Feel into your own postural habits. And then feel into that balance point where you work without over-efforting towards balance. Come back to your three-dimensional breath deep into the low back body. Feel for the back ribs opening behind you. And as the low ribs begin to open behind you, feel for the base of the skull also opening behind you. So for most of us that take the head and neck forward, there's tightness up in the muscles that connect the neck and spine. You take the base of the skull back and gently lift it as you root the tailbone. Now feeling your sit bones on the floor, rock your pelvis forward, keeping neutral in the spine, and then rock your pelvis back. Feel those abs turn on as you come out of balance behind you. Rock forward and rock back, but do it slowly enough that you can feel the shifts as the body moves in the spine, in the work of the abdominals. See if you feel your pelvic floor engage when you roll back on your sit bones. Root your tail when you're back there. Lift the base of the skull. There, you're learning to lengthen your back extensors as you activate the front abdominals. Now come back to your neutral and lift your right arm alongside the ear and stretch. Press into the left arm and even draw it towards your body, lifting the left armpit. Now, do effort and jut your chin forward. Keep resting the head back. And maybe some of you lower onto your forearm, reaching the sit bone away from the hand. And then we exhale with strength, back up and switch sides. Pull the right hand towards your body and lift through the right armpit. And then press down into the right hand and root both sit bones and lengthen the spine. Broaden and release across the shoulder girdle. Lengthen from a lifted pelvic floor up the spine, past the places where you may be used to collapsing. And come down onto your forearm if you'd like and stretch. A balance of strengthening, awareness, and stretch. And exhale back up and fold yourself forward onto your props. And inhale a gentle cow without shortening the back of the neck too much. And exhale, float into a cat pose. And feel the shifts in your spine, the tugs on the tissue. What do they tell you about the work you want to do in your body to move towards harmony? Let your whole self be here, experiencing the movement. And you can stay with that or take your blocks wider and forward into a wide-legged, seated downward dog. And here, if you'd like to, you can rock your body again, swing from side to side, shoulder to shoulder. Stay strong in the rooting into the four corners of your feet and the open knees. Fluid breath. And then if you'd like to pause and just feel the sensations of the forward fold, do. And if your body's telling you you've gone too far, come out a little bit. Listen to the voices that control the pose. Invite the loving, kind, and compassionate voices to be the drivers. And then draw your props back and unfold. Take your feet around to the right. Inhale your hands to your hearts. Lengthen the spine. Exhale, a slow twist to the left. Begin at the base of your spine today and work your way up towards the heart, with the head turning very last, back of the right hand against left femur, left arm opening. Fluid breath into the posture. Notice where the tissue is tighter, where it most easily moves. And don't overly take advantage of the easy movement spots. Those are the spots we tend to injure. Breathe into the body and allow for that breath to give you an internal massage. Maybe now come out of the pose just slightly and keep breathing. Come out of the pose just a little more. Keep breathing. Invite the breath to massage the tissue as we slowly unwind the pose. Hands to the heart. Palate over heart over pelvis. Rest the head back a little farther. Rest the spine back a little farther. Feel strong from ribs to hip pointers. Lengthen the back body up to the base of the skull. Come forward. And take your legs to the other side. And inhale. Hot air balloon lifts you skyward. And exhale, slowly begin to twist to the right. From the base of the skull today, feel the lumbar turn. Feel for the movement of the intestines. Then we get up to the spine of the rib cage and we slowly move through to the shoulder girdle. And then we release the back of the left hand and open the right arm and let the head turn. We're not forcing a really fast twist. We're breathing into the body, exhaling into relaxation. Fluid breath. And then just release a little bit. Fluid breath, massaging you from the inside. Release a little bit more. A little bit more. And then very slowly unwind, staying with the sensations. Hands to the heart. Release the hands. Okay. For our restorative back bend today, let's come to the floor. And have a bolster if you might like a bolster, but first, let's try a roll just over a blanket. So I want you to take a blanket that's about as wide as your torso. So in a yoga blanket, I have mine folded in quarters. And then from the fold, begin to roll it. And I just want a little roll today to start with. So if you're rolling a quarter of a yoga blanket, don't roll it more than a third to half of the way. And some of you may already want to get your socks and your sweaters and your pillows ready for later. You may want your blocks and your bolster nearby. Okay. So we're coming over the blanket roll with our shoulders. I'm going to put my sweater back on. Okay, so you start with your shoulders uphill on the blanket roll and the lower tips towards the ground and the top of your shoulder towards your head on the uphill. And then you bring your thumbs behind your head and you traction the head over the blanket roll and your shoulders come up onto the blanket roll and your arms come over the blanket roll in a T. And now the tips of your shoulder blade are at the top of the blanket roll and your shoulders are angled down off the blanket roll. And if this is too much in your thoracic spine, make the blanket roll smaller. Even those of us who have a more open back bend, this is really good work because it comes right into the center of your thoracic spine, that upper thoracic behind the heart center. It's not even quite to the center, it's higher than that. Now, take a few fluid breaths. The head of your arm bones do not have to be on the floor at the beginning of this. You just want the shoulder blade tips uphill on the blanket roll. And then the invitation is to take deep breaths into the heart center, across the wingspan, into the chest. This is postural realignment work. Most of us get very tight in the thoracic spine, so we're inviting it to open. Again, if it's too much, make your blanket roll smaller. And after you've taken a few breaths here, bring your shoulders a little farther over the blanket roll. Bring your head a little farther over the blanket roll. Just maybe move one vertebrae or even half of the length between two vertebrae. And then breathe deeply in that spot. Inviting a stretch in the front chest, a release between vertebrae. While you're here, you may turn your head a little side to side, and you may discover, oh, one side of my neck and shoulder is much tighter than the other. And you may pause there and breathe into that. Relaxing tight tissue open on the exhale. And then you come a little farther over. Now with scoliosis, if this does not feel good to you, you could do a back bend seated in a chair. You can always also roll yourself a little to one side where you feel like there's more opening, but you need to be careful with this work. So we're slowly moving down the spine towards the rib cage, towards the bottom ribs. It should get a little easier as we go because most of us can flare those front ribs easily. Breathing into the chest and the spine. Turning the head slightly to find the stretch. And then when you've made it to your lowest ribs, roll yourself over and come up. Now, if that work wasn't good in your spine, you can instead make a long blanket roll and lay down on it the length of your spine. If you want to go into another heart opener and you feel like you can roll the roll a little bigger, then roll the roll a little bigger. If you'd like to bring in your bolster, bring in your bolster. If you bring in your bolster, you may need a pillow or you may need a block. And we'll do the same thing, bringing our arms over the bolster or blanket roll in a T. You may want your blocks, if you're not using one for a pillow, on either side of your legs to open into a Baddha Konasana with your knees wide and your palms of your feet together. So you come over your next choice. If you're coming over a bolster and your pelvis lifts off the ground, you'll need a blanket under your pelvis. And you rest into the heart opener. Arms in a T, head supported, but in a way where the neck can still be long. Fluid breath. Inviting the spine to find and establish more space. Inviting the breath to massage you from the inside. See if you can relax on the exhales. Stay with the experience and listen to your internal voices. If there is one that says, this is not good for me, I shouldn't be in this position, then come out. Try a smaller roll or take another position. We should be able to relax into restorative positions deeply, allowing the tissue to open over the props. If that's not the case, find a position with more ease. Invite relaxation of the face, the eyes, and the jaw. Relaxation around the heart center. Now invite a few deep breaths into the heart center, stretching it open. Relaxing on the exhales. And then bring your hands in to support your head. Bring your knees in. Lift the head. Roll yourself to come up. And bring your bolster around under your knees for Shavasana. If you have your heart set on a different Shavasana, feel free to take that. Make sure that you're warm enough. Open blankets up if you need them. And then invite yourself to rest deeply on the earth. Today we practice pausing, feeling into stillness. That work is designed to help us come to Shavasana, ready to be still. This doesn't mean we close out the voices in our head. It means we don't allow one voice to take over. We invite them all to quietly feel into the body, to take a rest, to rejuvenate. We let each of the voices in our head know that this is our offering to them. These moments of quiet. These moments of rest. Now gently begin to stretch your body. See if you can be really present with each of these movements. Feel into what your body wants as you end your practice. And take a few moments Stretch and open. Welcome in the rest of the day. And then gently roll yourself over and come up to your comfortable seat. Take your time. When you arrive in your seat, feel into your posture and your breath. And all the different selves that came with you on the journey of this one yoga class. Let's inhale our hands to our hearts. May we bring our whole self, our many selves, our conscious awareness into the rest of our day and week. Namaste. Thank you.